I thought I had it all. A loving wife, a great job, a life we built together. But one single text message shattered that illusion into a million pieces. It wasn't even meant for me. It was a message from my boss, sent to my wife's phone, which she'd accidentally left at home. The contents, well, let's just say they were far from professional. It was explicit, detailed, and it made my stomach turn. They were having an affair. And not just any affair, they were using company time, company resources, and even my own home. The betrayal cut deeper than a knife. It was a 2-for-1 deal from the two people I trusted most in my professional and personal life. My first instinct was pure rage. I wanted to scream, to break things, to confront them both right then and there. But as I sat there, staring at the phone, a cold, calculating calm washed over me. A public blow-up would give them satisfaction. It would make me look like the unstable, jealous husband. No, they didn't deserve a quick and fiery end. They deserved a slow, methodical dismantling of the lives they had built on my back. My pain would become my fuel. My revenge wouldn't be loud. It would be smart. It would be legal, and it would be devastating. The first step was gathering evidence. I became a detective in my own life. The text message was just the beginning. I started paying closer attention. I noticed the late nights my boss, let's call him Mark, suddenly needed my wife, Sarah, to finish a project. I saw the expensive gifts that were way beyond what her salary could justify. I even installed a discreet security camera in our living room, my house. My rules. What I captured was sickening, but it was also irrefutable proof. They were careless, arrogant, and so sure they'd never be caught. They underestimated me. That was their first mistake. I also started digging into Mark's professional life at the company. I knew he was sloppy. I started documenting every instance of him using company funds for personal expenses, fancy dinners with Sarah, hotel rooms booked on the company card, business trips that were nothing more than romantic getaways. I cross-referenced dates, times, and receipts. I found policy violations, blatant misuse of corporate assets, and a clear abuse of his authority. He wasn't just cheating on his wife. He was stealing from the company that had given him everything. With a mountain of evidence, I consulted a lawyer, one who specialized in employment law and wrongful termination. When I laid out the case, her eyes lit up. We had them, not just for the affair, but for creating a hostile work environment and for corporate fraud. The affair itself wasn't illegal, but using his position of power over my wife, an employee he supervised, and misusing company funds to facilitate it. That was a legal goldmine. The plan was set. It was time to pull the trigger. I didn't just want them fired. I wanted it to be public and humiliating. I scheduled a meeting with HR and the company's CEO. I walked in, calm and collected, with a thick binder of evidence. I laid it all out on the table. The text messages, the photos, the video footage from my home, and the meticulously documented expense reports showing Mark's fraud. The CEO's face went from confusion to shock to pure fury. He saw the lawsuit coming a mile away. The company's reputation was on the line. The fallout was immediate and spectacular. Mark was called into a meeting he would never walk out of with his job intact. He was fired on the spot, not for the affair, but for gross misconduct and misuse of company funds. He was escorted out of the building by security, carrying his career in a cardboard box. The whispers in the office turned into a roar. Everyone knew his power, his prestige. It all vanished in an afternoon. Then came Sarah. HR called her in next. They presented her with the evidence of her complicity. While she wasn't fired for the affair itself, her involvement in the misuse of company resources and the clear conflict of interest were undeniable breaches of her contract. She was terminated. The life she thought she was upgrading to, the one with the powerful boss and the fancy perks, it crumbled around her. She came home that evening to find her bags packed and waiting by the door, along with a set of divorce papers. The look on her face was a mixture of shock and pathetic desperation. It gave me no pleasure, just a hollow sense of finality. But it wasn't done. The company knew they were in trouble. My lawyer sent a demand letter, outlining the hostile work environment I was subjected to and the clear favoritism and ethical breaches that were allowed to happen under their roof. to avoid a messy, public lawsuit that would have dragged their name through the mud. They settled, and they settled big. It wasn't about the money for me, but it was a symbol. It was the company paying for their negligence and for the damage their star manager had caused. Looking back, the pain of the betrayal is still there. It's a scar that will never fully fade. But there's also a sense of justice. I didn't sink to their level. I didn't resort to angry outbursts or petty games. I used their own arrogance and the system they thought they could manipulate against them. I took back my power, my dignity, and my future. They tried to break me, but they only made me stronger. I lost a wife and a job, but I gained my self-respect. And that's a trade I'd make any day. Thanks for listening to my story. If you found this compelling, please like and subscribe for more.